Hello again, this is Tim talking to you about the pair of FN5s that I'm building at the moment. This was a wartime turret built by Fraser Nash. In its day it was a pinnacle of technology at the time. I'm in the process of looking to build a replica Wellington bomber Mark 1C at 1 to 4.5 scale. The scale is determined by the availability of engines. The bulk of the construction of the turrets is done using 3D printing from 3D Print UK, who've been excellent. Most of the design work has been either derived from drawings by Mark Evans, who produces replica parts for museums around the world in full scale, an awful lot of time, some 3 years of drawing I suppose, were involved in this. Also I'd like to mention Stony CNC, who were of enormous help cutting the aluminium parts. There's 2 aluminium parts per turret, which I would really struggle to make by other means. So let's start with a naming of parts to sort of give you some key to what I'm talking about. The turret's operated by a pair of control handles. You can just see at the end of my pencil, one left, one right. They both operate in the same fashion. So if it's rotated to the right, the turret traversing motor operates and it rotates to the right, and conversely for left. And then rocking it backwards and forwards will give you elevation and depression. So using a combination of those movements, any target can be tracked to 110 degrees either side of straight ahead, plus 60 degrees elevation and minus 60 degrees depression. Correction, minus 45 depression. So it was quite a capable unit. It's armed with 2 30 caliber machine guns, let's just take you through the naming of parts. So this is the caudal brace here. There's 2 of them, one either side, and it's the main structural component that takes the carriage. The guns are mounted on a cradle known as a gun cradle, and that's connected to the axle that passes through the caudal braces. So that's what enables the guns to elevate and depress. They're operated by rams, not yet fitted, but the base of the ram goes here, and the head of the ram is about here, and they engage with in a hole in a piece that projects out of the axle. So as the ram extends, the guns depress, and as the ram contracts, then so the guns will elevate. I'm going to be building that using again 3D printed parts, and I can just show you here. This is a motor made by a company called Faulhaber. Actually the black bit is the motor. The forward bit, the silver bit, is actually a tiny reduction gearbox, which cuts the RPM by a factor of 4. That will then drive a lead screw and a stationary lead nut that's connected to the top of the ram. So as that motor operates, that ram will therefore move up and down on the lead screw and cause the gun cradle to depress and elevate. That's the theory anyway. I've got here a scrap version, or one that didn't work out for various reasons, of one of the caudal braces. So you can see there's extensive lightening of the structure wherever possible, and also provision made for cable routing and that sort of thing. And then the micro switch sits about here, and then as the cradle operates, a cam impinges on that switch, which then stops any further movement. Now the idea is just to use that as a fail-safe, so that if the guns will actually be programmed on the radio transmitter that's operating them, and if for whatever reason that software fails or is miscalibrated, then the thing will be physically incapable of moving past the switch and onto the mechanical stops. were it to do so, it would cause, in all likelihood, quite a lot of damage to the RAM. What else? I've put a lot of pieces on here that are not yet painted. So you've got up here one of the caudal brace stiffeners. There's another one on the other side. They just provide rigidity to the structure. Very difficult to draw. I must have drawn those 40 times before I got them towards being right, and even now I'm not entirely sure about them. But I've kind of got fed up of drawing them now. This is a sighting bar. Up here, I'll just remove that as it's falling off. And this is has an axle at either end, so that when the guns elevate, there's a series of linkages that come through here that impel a rod, which then is attached to the end of the sighting bar here. And the upshot of all of that is that the sighting bar should remain parallel, or the gun sight mounted on the sighting bar will remain parallel to the guns as they're elevated or depressed. This was a complete nightmare to draw, because all the available technical drawings of the turrets, none of them had the geometry right. In other words, if I'd drawn them as per book illustrations and so on, it would have simply not worked. So there was an awful lot of time spent trying to get that right. What else? The eventual aim of this is to film using an FPV camera when the aircraft's built, and have a FPV camera mounted in the turret to give a gunner's eye view of proceedings. Hence all the detail on the turret. I mean, most people quite rightly just basically have a couple of lemonade bottles suitably heated and deformed, and a couple of balsa sticks, and leave it at that. But I wanted to do something quite specific with this. So what else?